It's January 26th, 2026. I'm Connor, and this is the Monday Grind. So, back for another week. There's a couple changes that I made pretty quickly, I guess, after writing down the last newsletter. And it all comes down for me to how am I measuring that I'm making progress? I spent a lot of time reflecting on the previous week and feeling a little bit down about feeling like I was making too little progress and moving too slowly. There's a lot that I want to do. I feel very eager to get to the point where I can be really making games in a rapid fashion and testing them and getting them out to people. It's like feeling antsy, I guess, to get that feedback from players. And in thinking about all that, one of the things that I realized was I can't really measure that by how much progress that I'm making in a game. Like if I look at my game and I am comparing from week to week, what did I do? It's not really capturing how much of a game developer that I'm growing as, because sometimes I'm doing newsletters, sometimes I'm doing things for the business, sometimes I might be doing marketing, sometimes I might just be waiting for people to give me feedback and making small adjustments. And that doesn't mean that I'm not making progress. It just means that my game doesn't look the same, or no, my game looks maybe the same week to week. But even for this week, as I was going through and doing some of the code refactor, there's not too much that looks different in game. But under the back end, there's a lot that's changed. A lot of the code has changed. We just can't see it. So I wanted to think a little bit more, and I reached the point where I said, okay, well, I think I just need to track hours. And I've tried to track my hours before, and it didn't quite work. But what I'm trying now is keeping it simple. So instead of breaking it down by, am I doing art? Am I doing programming? Am I doing playtesting? There's just one bucket. It's game development. Am I doing game development? And that can be whatever I consider it to be. But am I moving toward the goal that I feel is important for me to move toward? Playing video games, I'm not going to count that, because even though, yes, I'm studying and acquiring and honing my taste for video games, it's not the same. So there are some limits within that, and definitely trying to be fair and honest with myself, because, at the end of the day, I'm just cheating myself. But I really set out the goal to say, if I can do 20 hours a week of game dev and find time to do something, then I know that I'm making progress. Even if I don't hit that goal every single week, I will at least have that benchmark to say, okay, that was too much, or that was too little, or what I did worked, or this was a bad week, what went wrong, or this was a good week, what went right. And it's a little bit of effort, I suppose, but I think it'll pay itself off in the long run. And then the other thing is, now that I have my newsletter, I can go back and continuously look at what I wanted to get done for the week. Like, what was the theme of the week? What were my objectives? So all of it together, I did about 12 hours of game dev this week. A lot of it is school. I'm counting all the classes that I'm attending as part of game development, because I'm learning about marketing. I'm learning about analytics, all these different things, product design. So I would say about 8 of it was class and homework. 4 of it was doing development. And for my development time, I actually was able to refactor my spreadsheets and the way that I'm saving or loading in the game data to my game. All of that was refactored, and I got started on the crafting UI, which were the exact 2 things that I wanted to get done this week anyway. So I feel good about that. But I would definitely say, yeah, it feels very close to like 50%. I feel like I kind of did it, but not really, and couldn't get into that groove of actually making 100% of my goal. And so what I learned is finding that time to figure out what I want to do and being even more specific and coming up with a plan to make sure that I can sit down and get started right away. Very, very important. I also always underestimate Godot's UI system and control nodes and things like that. And it just it's always a struggle, but we get there. And I still feel pretty good. I'm glad that I was able to at least do that refactor. And so some of what I wanted to show today was that. So I'm going to switch over here. Here's the game. Oh, apologize. There's a little bit of flicker. So here's the game. This is looking very similar to before, but now if I click this, it'll pop up the crafting And the weapons are actually now categorized. It looks like there's some re-rolls here. But the weapons and tools are now separate into two different categories. So now if I go on our little mission, we can go here, and we won't spend too long here, but we're just gonna go through, try to get some more resources. We'll do this one that's 100%. All these missions are now working, which is great. Very happy about that. Looks like this team is very good for some of these gathering quests. And then we'll try to do one that's harder. Failed. So we're gonna now go back to the center. And as we return, I can go back here and I can start to reroll. And so now when I reroll, I got a training sword rare, or this one I got training gloves, which is a tool. This one is a training axe. It was a common. We didn't level up. Now we got another training sword. Keep rerolling a training axe epic. And so all of this is starting to form the basis of what I'd like to do. And this is not going to stay. What I started to work on was a little book where you could see all the recipes and things like that. I played some Fantasy Life I. I really like the way that they set everything up, so I'm going to follow that as my own compass as to how I want things to look. But that'll pop up when you click this thing. And then I haven't implemented the other buildings yet, but I believe that the ship will always be this kind of set out on a mission, go and explore and come back. You can get a good loop going there. So I'm pretty happy overall. Again, just making some small progress, but I can't get away or shake that feeling that I should be moving a little bit quicker and just getting this out in front of people to play. It's not the greatest game ever. It's missing a lot of things that I think would make it a lot of fun, but I think for a prototype, it is, I don't know, maybe 30% of the way of what I think would be good. And a lot of it will come down to getting the UI and just the flow of things into a really solid spot. And I think very quickly, then I'll need a lot of content to fill up. Maybe about even 30 minutes of time would be pretty good. So this upcoming week, what I'd really like to work on is getting that crafting UI, hold on to that task that I had set before. So getting the crafting UI done, getting really familiar with Godot's UI nodes and coming up with a good system where I can make updates to the backend, the inventory, and things like that. So if I can get the crafting UI done, I feel pretty confident that I could get some progress made on the missions as well and start pulling data for that. But for this week, it's really just the crafting that definitely needs to be finished by the end of next week. And then if I can get the missions done, I would probably be in a good spot to start testing this with people. I would not have the character progression and unit growth, or it would definitely have the item rerolling and things like that through the crafting system, but it wouldn't have abilities or anything more advanced. It's just kind of that loop of you go on a mission, you go explore, you get resources, you craft things, you maybe even find recipes to craft new items. That's pretty much the core game loop, and I can get feedback on that as I then think about the next game that I'd like to work on. So crafting UI, mission UI, a lot of UI, but that'll be what I'm looking forward to working on this week, and I look forward to talking to you again soon.